the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I'm not gonna hold you. Season 3, episode 5, man. It is October 6th, Thursday, October 6th, 2022, man. We are back here on HMB Media and the Barber's Chair Network, man. You know to follow both companies at HMB Media TV on Twitter, at HMB Media on Instagram. Barber's Chair Network is at Barber's Chair Net on Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/Barber's Chair Network. We got all 3 different tiers. Pick which one you want, but the Patreon is free this week. So everybody who wants to listen to summer sessions, everybody who wants to, listen to Cinema with the Guys, the 7 at the House preview, all that stuff is free for 1 week only. We'll be back next week with it being behind the paywall. And of course, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Barberchair Scott. Visit the bcnet.com, the Barber's Chair shop is coming very, very soon, man. So we back. A lot to discuss today, man. We're getting ready for another week in the NFL. Week 5 kicks off tonight in the Mile High in Denver, Colorado for Thursday Night Football, which will be Broncos and Colts. Pretty nasty game. We'll get into that later. But one thing I wanted to start this off with my sound off is October's here. The greatest month of the fucking year is finally here. And I'm just not saying October is the greatest month of the year because my birthday is in here, and I blessed y'all presents 34 years ago. That has nothing to do with it. It's the only month of the year where you can get all 3 major sports playing at the same fucking time. It's hoodie season. And unless you living out here in LA, and the weather's still fucking 90s, but it's hoodie season majority around the country. It's Oktoberfest beer. And more importantly, October baseball is here. Tomorrow, the Wild Card Round, the first ever official MLB series Wild Card Round. Of course, they did something like this in the pandemic season of 2020. But like I said, I don't count anything to happen with no fucking fans in the stands. I'm going to keep saying that for all sports. For those who say I only use it against the Lakers, no, I'm using it against every fucking body. But I'll be the first wild card weekend. 162 games are in the books. It's been somewhat of a memorable season. Of course, Albert Pujols breaking, become one of the only 4 people to get 700 home runs in his career. Not only getting 700, but he's finished like 703 home runs. Aaron Judge, 62 home runs, a great year for him. Miguel Cabrera getting his 3,000th hit. So, there was a lot of great things this year. It wasn't the most entertaining regular season. And I'm not just saying that because my White Sox, fucked up immensely. But it just was not the most entertaining season, even from an overall standpoint. Like even these last couple weeks, outside of Atlanta and the Mets, there really weren't any down to the wire pennant races this year. But I do think, it's a new day with the postseason. One thing I love about the playoffs is my favorite postseason out of any of the major sports because it's so unpredictable. And yes, the NFL is unpredictable, but nothing's more unpredictable than Major League Baseball playoffs because it doesn't really matter how good you were hitting in the playoffs. In regular season, how good your pitching was, how good your bullpen was. It's just all about timing. And to an extent, it's like that with football. It's any given Sunday, but you could just go on a run. It could be a team that's on a run, and they just go out here and they take care of business, man. So I'm really excited for the playoffs, man. Let's just get right into our playoff preview, man. Now, this is a little different format. This is a new thing that was brought into the new collective bargaining agreement between the Players Association and Major League Baseball that we have a 12-team playoff, 6 seeds for each league. The top 4 seeds, top 2 in the AL, top 2 in the NL, both get first round bye. So in the National League, the number one seed in all of baseball is the Los Angeles Dodgers. They won the most games in franchise history this year. And the road to the championship goes through Los Angeles. Now, this is not the first time in their 10 years of, dominance in the National League that they have been a number 1 seed. This is a great team on paper. But one thing that the Dodgers always struggle with is winning in the playoffs. And like I said, I know they won in 2020. I'm going to keep saying it. I don't give a shit. do it in front of people. You know what I'm saying? So to me, they have a lot to prove. But they're the number one seed. Everybody's gonna be coming to Chavez Ravine to play them to see who's gonna win the championship. The number 2 seed, man, the Atlanta Braves coming up. I won't say the Mets choked. I won't say the Mets choked, even though I love fucking with Mets fans. I won't say the Mets choked. The Mets still won 100 games. The Mets had a great season. Spent all that money in the all season, and it paid off. They had a great season. But when you have a team in the Atlanta Braves who are the defending World Series champions, they won over 100 games, and they just got better. They didn't the Mets didn't lose it. The Braves just came back and just snatched that shit, man. That's pretty much what it is. They're gonna get a first round bye. They've got their team healthy, ready to go. They got nice, nice combination of veteran leadership and young talent, great pitching, great bullpen. And I gotta give the Braves front office a hell of a credit, because who loses a superstar like Freddie Freeman? And it's just like, it don't really fucking matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just how good replacing him with Matt Olson is. And of course, Matt Olson isn't Freddie Freeman, but if you can find any replacement for Freddie Freeman, Matt Olson came in perfectly to fit that, especially over that last series with the New York Mets, which eventually, gave them control of the NL East, where he had a home run in every game of that series. So they're the 2 seeds. In the NL, they will have this weekend off, and they'll be ready to host their NLDS series next Tuesday. Over in the American League, man, the Houston Astros, another team where you see, a team that, a lot of people hate. They're probably the most hated team in baseball because of the cheating scandal that happened with their 2017 World Championship. They came back, new team, no Carlos Correa, doesn't matter. Like I've always said, yes, they did cheat. Yes, they should be punished. I get all the vitriol and the hate for them. I 100% understand it. But they have a good system. Like, if you look at all the players that they've lost from the championship year, that you lost to George Springer. You know what I'm saying? You out there and you lost all these other guys. You lost Carlos Correa this year, and it just doesn't matter. They just keep plugging and pulling people in. And Justin Verlander, an amazing year, another great Cy Young type year. They're the number 1 seed in the American League. They're going to get the first round bye. The number 2 is the New York Yankees. Now, the Yankees were setting everything on fire for about 80% of this season. They have not had a great second half. Played pretty much 500 baseball in the second half. And really, the only second half he was really caring about was when Aaron Judge was going to get 62 home runs. And notice I said 62 home runs and not breaking a record, because fuck Roger Maris Jr. I don't give a damn what he says, a home run king and still Barry Bonds. But I ran it on that last week, and I will not go into further detail. So yeah, they're waiting for him to get 62 home runs, and they were able to go out there, won the AL East. But I think there's a lot more question marks than there is answers for this New York Yankees team. A lot of pressure on the Yankees, and they got to win this. Like, how many more how many more cracks at the apple is this core gonna get? This might be Aaron Boone's final year if they don't get it done. Aaron Judge is gonna be a free agent this offseason. The Yankees have absolutely zero leverage. They actually have under zero leverage. That's just how much they try to play Aaron Judge during the offseason. So those are your 2 seeds in the American League. Just like I said, with the Dodgers and the Braves, they will be off this weekend, and they will resume hosting their ALDS series on Tuesday, which will be at Minute Maid Park in Houston and Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. So let's get into the AL Wild Card. Tomorrow's first game is the American League Central Division champions. Yes, it's not the White Sox like I thought and like everybody else thought, because those motherfuckers choked. It is the Cleveland Guardians, man, led by one Tito, Terry Francona. I think this is like his 6 years manager, 7 years manager. Tito, one of the best managers in baseball history, leading this team. They went on just an amazing second half run, tearing everything up front to back. Offense has been great. Jose Ramirez doing what Jose Ramirez does. Josh Naylor has been incredible. This has just been a great team on the road and at home, and they have amazing pitching, which has led them to winning this fucking division by double digits. Like, it wasn't even close. Like, the White Sox got smoked at the fucking end. And, they're going to be hosting the Tampa Bay Rays, who come in as a final seed in the American League. They did not have the season that everybody thought they were going to have. A lot of injuries, a lot of players not playing up the way they wanted to, but they are going to be on the road. Now, here's the rules. So it's a best of 3 for this wild card, because it's the first wild card round that we really have in this new format. So it's a best of 3, like any other regular baseball series. The home team will be hosting all 3 of these games, first to 2. So I wouldn't be shocked if all 4 of these series go the max 3 because playoff stands on line. So we're gonna go Guardians Rays. I think this is gonna be a real pitching kind of gym type series. I think it's gonna be real low scoring. Um and you got a great pitching matchup in the first game of the series, man. You got the Shanes going there, the Shane McClanahan going up against Shane Bieber. And Shane McClanahan had a pretty decent season, man, 12-8 with the an ERA of 2.54, man. That was pretty good for him. And had 194 strikeouts. Shane Bieber, we all know how dominant Shane Bieber is. 13-8 with a 2.88 ER with 198 strikeouts in his season, man. So it's gonna be one of those series where you got to come out here and you got to get a lead right away because a pitcher like Shane Bieber, now he has not had the greatest playoffs. He had his first postseason start back in 2020, and the Yankees pretty much took him to hell. So there's still room for improvement for him to grow. But Shane Bieber's one of those guys where you got to jump on this early because the later it gets in the game, the more he settles in. And McClanahan's good. He's not Shane Bieber good, but he's good. But I'm just really worried about the Rays offense in this series. And I do think, even though I don't think the Guardians have the best offense, obviously, but the Guardians they can go on a run. And they're always going to, they're a team that they don't quit on at bats. They're a very annoying ass team. They're going to find a way to get on base one way or another. And I think this one will be over in the first 2 games. I think Cleveland will take care of business pretty easily and win these first 2 games at home, and they won't have to have a deciding game 3 on Sunday. And I think they will be the ones who are getting the first crack at the Yankees. They'll be heading to Yankee Stadium on Tuesday. So I'm going to say Guardians in 2. In the other American League series, this one is going to be a good one, man. We got the Toronto Blue Jays, who were the 4th seed. They finished 2nd in the American League East behind the Yankees. We all know that loaded team. They've got young guys, so they got Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, Teoscar Hernandez. The list just goes on and on and on. Matt Chapman. And they're the 4th seed. They're going to be hosting all 3 of these games at the crib. This has got to be the first time in like almost a decade that we've had playoff baseball in Toronto. That's going to be fun to watch. So there was a whole bunch of questions about, COVID restrictions, what players will be able to travel during the playoffs and things of that nature. That will no longer be a thing. They dropped COVID restrictions in Toronto and Canada in general, so everybody will be able to play. And they're going against the Seattle Mariners, man, a team that everybody has been looking to make their first surprise into the playoffs because of the nice thing they've been building with their young players. And they, clinch their playoff spot this week with an epic walk-off home run. This will be the first time that they're in the playoffs since 2001. It's the longest playoff drought in American sports history. They are back in the playoffs. Nice young crew. It's going to be fun to watch. And they're going to have, their young superstar Julio Rodriguez, who'll be back playing with them. And in the first game, we've got Luis Castillo versus Alex Manoah. This is going to be a real good matchup here between the two. Alex Manoah is one of those guys who he's had a real quick rise, from the minor leagues and coming up and establishing a dominance right away. Luis Castillo started off really good, but he has, not been the best since he's got to Seattle. Right now, he's got an 8-6 record, ERA around 3, but he's been a little shaky since he's gotten to Seattle. But he's a guy, out of everybody on their starting rotation, he's got the most, experience. And I think that's the guy you got to run with for game 1. But Alex Manoah is 16-7. 2.24 ER, 190 strikeouts, man. That guy has just been dominant, and he's been even especially dominant at home. This is going to be a series that I think is going to be a lot of runs scored. This is going to be one of the most exciting series in the playoffs. And if you want to see some young teams going there, this is the future of not just the American League, but the Major League Baseball in total. A whole bunch of young guys in this series. I think this is going to go to full 3, and I'm going to take the Blue Jays for 2 reasons. 1, they've got the home field advantage, and 2, because, I think they're a little more further in the road than the Mariners. This is the Mariners' first taste of playoff, baseball. Now, youth can be naive, and you can just, they don't know what the type of situation they're in. They can go out there and win. I would not be shocked if they win, but I've got a little bit more faith in the Blue Jays hitters as a team at home in that environment that is going to be crazy. in the playoffs. And I think they're further along in their rebuild than the Mariners are. And they've been itching towards this. They got a couple MVP candidates on that team. I'm gonna go with Toronto in a very, very competitive 3-game series. Now let's go over to the National League, man. We got the NL Central champion St. Louis Cardinals will be hosting the Philadelphia Phillies, man. This is the Philadelphia Phillies, another team that hasn't been to the postseason in a long time. It's the Phillies' first appearance in over 11 years. Last time they made it was 2011. This whole cast, led by Bryce Harper. Everybody got over. The pitching has been spectacular. Kyle Schwarber has been amazing over there. He looks like a real bargain pick, White Sox. Real bargain pick that they got, and he's been out there and he's had 40-some home runs and shit. He's just been fucking incredible. And they're going to be going up against the Cardinals, who they've had a great year, won the division. Of course, we all know about the individual stuff. Albert Pujols, getting 700 home runs. This is his last season. This is Yadier Molina's last season. Nolan Arenado has been good. Luke Goldsmith has been good. They've just been a real good team front to back. And they're going to be going up against a team in the Phillies where they can put up runs. I'm still not the biggest fan of Phillies pitching, even though I give Philly the edge in this first game. The first game was against Jose Quintana, who was a deadline pickup by the St. Louis Cardinals, going against Zach Wheeler, a guy who is been pretty dominant in his time since being with the Phillies. This year, he has a 12-7 record with a 2.82 ERA. Jose Quintana, he's really been the 500 level type of pitcher that he's been since he left the White Sox. 6.7 record. ERA isn't that bad, 2.93. But this is a guy, he doesn't pitch that well on the road, especially in playoff situations. Remember when he was with the Cubs, it did not go the way they wanted him to go. So I think in this series, I will take the Cardinals in this series. I think the Cardinals will win this series in 3, but I do think the Phillies will take game 1 because I like the pitching matchup better here. But I do think at home, they're the more experienced ball club. They want to give Albert one more shot at the World Series, get his 3rd ring before he gets up out of here. And I just think they're a more well-balanced team than the Phillies are right now. So I'm going to go with the St. Louis Cardinals in 3 games for this series. And our last AL Wild Card series, this is going to be the best one. This is going to be the best series out of all these Wild Card series. We got the Mets, who won 100 games. They're going to be hosting the San Diego Padres at home. It's going to be Max Scherzer going up against Yu Darvish. Yu Darvish had a pretty solid second half, helping the Padres get into that final wild card spot out in the National League. Of course, we all know the story about the Padres. They did not have Fernando Tatis Jr. all year because of the motorcycle incident. Now they're not going to have him pretty much damn near all of next year, too, because he was taking PEDs. So it's really been, not only was it the Juan Soto trade kind of looked like an embarrassment of riches at the time it happened, but now it's looking like very fucking necessary. Imagine what this team would be without Juan Soto. And Juan Soto hasn't, been, balls to the wall since he got there, but that's another guy in that lineup that you got to respect. He has postseason experience, not only postseason experience. He's only 23 and he's already a World Series champion. He already knows what it takes to win. And you got Manny Machado here that's going to help him in that. They have not been the team that everybody expected them to do, but I think they have the offensive firepower that's going to keep them in this series. And there's a lot of pressure on the Mets here. You spent all this money in the offseason. Did not have the best second half, losing their division lead to the Atlanta Braves. And now you're at the crib in front of this amazing Mets fan base. They haven't had playoff baseball in 7 seasons now. 2015 was the last time when they actually went to the World Series, and of course they eventually lost to the Kansas City Royals. But this is, that fan base is going to be riled up, ready to go. I could see this series going either way, but at the end of the day, I trust the pitching of the New York Mets way more than I trust the Padres. I mean, when you got, Jake DeGrom, Max Scherzer, 1 and 2, good fucking luck. But I do think this will go to full 3 games, but I'm going to go with the Mets in this one, and that's going to set up a nice matchup against the Dodgers, and then that will have where your NLD and ALDS will be Dodgers hosting the Mets, you have the Braves hosting the Cardinals, you have the Astros hosting the Blue Jays, and you have the Yankees hosting the Cardinals. Those will be pretty exciting, and those are going to kick off next Thursday and Wednesday. So that's going to be fun to look forward to, man. But I just love watching playoff baseball. It's going to be good to watch how these things go. I'm going to be able to watch it stress-free for the first time in 3 years because my fucking team ain't made the fucking playoffs. I'm going to keep saying that. And by the way, check out a new episode of He Gone. That's going to be dropping tomorrow where we're going to rant pretty loudly on the disappointment the Chicago White Sox are. And then you also get Mikey and Dante, their opinion on how the wild card is going to go, man. So that's what I got for y'all with baseball. Let's get into some football, man. Week 4 is in the books. We are already one quarter done with the NFL season. And there's a lot of things going on in the NFL right now. This is like it's an even playing field, man. So we're going to go into my week 4 observations, man. I'm going to start off with the NFL's wide open. It's literally wide open. Now, of course, when we come into the season, we all knew it was going to be wide open. It wasn't any real overwhelming favorite. But this is the only season where I feel like in recent memory, well, if you started 0-2, even like the Raiders, if you started 1-3, you're not really dead yet because half of the entire league is 2-2. Literally, out of the 30 teams in the National Football League, half of them are 2-2. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot more ground to be gained, a lot more things to happen with 13 more games left, man. So this is something we are seeing where usually if you start off that slow, it's a death wish. You know what I'm saying? And no team really outside of the Bills has looked spectacular. And even the Bills have had a little flaws, mainly because the defense is hurt. But the Bills are the only ones who come in with agenda like, yo, we finna kick y'all ass. We gonna put up 40 points in the process of doing it. Everybody else has shown flashes. I mean, you got teams like in the Los Angeles Rams who are defending Super Bowl champions. They ain't looking so hot. That offensive line isn't looking good. You know, you got teams who have surprised like the Miami Dolphins, but now Tua's out. And so there's different things going on here, and it makes it real interesting for the league because everybody's still in it. And really, technically, even if everybody wasn't 2-2, it's 1 month. Real football is played in November and December. We all know this. That's when the real teams emerge. But this one is a little bit more even playing field than usual, man. Another observation, the NFL dropped a new rule following Tua Tagovailoa getting hurt last Thursday, and that happened after we did the show. And I just want to say a couple things about that. I talked about that on 2 Minute Drill. He should not have been playing to fucking begin with. Like everybody, like I don't have a medical degree. I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but I know when a motherfucker looks concussed. I know when it's a head injury and you tell me it's a back injury. Everybody named Mama knew that he should have. Not only she did not play in that game last Thursday, he shouldn't have re-entered the game on that Sunday against the Bills to fucking begin with. But now the NFL has instituted a new rule. It's not officially called the Tua rule, but we are going to call it the Tua rule because that's pretty much what it is, where they're not allowing you to come back into games if you're showing any type of, if you have any type of head injury. And that's something I feel like needs to happen. It took too fucking long for it to happen. And I'm not going to give the NFL credit for doing some shit that they should have did long time ago. But it is good that it's finally being set in the motion. Is going to protect these players a little bit. And also, I need the teams and the doctors to start protecting these players more. You don't ask a player, can you go in? Can you go in for it? You know they're going to want to go. Not only they're athletes, they're competitive. It takes a special kind of dude to play the game of football. You got to be slightly off your rocker to get like getting hit by 300-pound grown men every fucking week. So that from that perspective, you just got to be something wrong with you to fucking begin with. But they don't want to let their coaches down. They don't want to let their teammates down. They don't want to let the city down. So, of course, they're going to go out there and try to play. We need these doctors and coaches and everybody to save themselves from themselves. And I do think this rule will help a little bit. Now, how hard it's enforced, we have to wait and see because you know how the NFL is with these type of things. But I do think it's a step in the right direction. And I do hope Tua gets healthy. That hit looks super fucking scary. I'm actually surprised that he was able to leave the hospital on the same night. He will not be playing this week against the Jets. It's been it'll be 10 days, since the last time they played a game on Sunday. I do think he'll probably play next week, and that'll give him enough time to get ready. So I do hope that Tua stays healthy, man, because that looks scary. Another observation, number 3 observation. The NFC East is a legit dog fight. It's a legit race. I know we're all looking at the Eagles, 4-0, the only undefeated team left in the NFL. They're looking good. Jalen Hurts is looking like an MVP candidate. The defense has been looking good. The running game has been looking good. They've been clicking on all cylinders. But the Cowboys, man, the Cowboys are hanging in there. The 3-1. Cooper Rush is looking amazing right now. It's giving Dak even more time to heal his thumb. And for those who say it's a quarterback race, let's cut the shit here. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the biggest that guy, but I know he's better than fucking Cooper Rush. But Cooper Rush is doing what you want from your backup quarterback, to hold the fort down, not make mistakes. But not only is he not just making mistakes, he's going out there making plays. We saw it last week against the Giants. We saw it this Sunday against the Commanders. He's doing what he's doing, putting his players in the right position. You're seeing the nice chemistry he's building with CeeDee Lamb, and the running game is looking good. The defense has been the bright spot of the entire fucking team, and it's the NFC East. We all know, there's no part of me feel like the Eagles are finna run away with shit. It's the NFC East. Something stupid always happens. You can sound a stupid finish alarm as soon as the fucking season starts in the NFC East. And I do feel like the Cowboys are gonna stay around. Now I do think that this is still the Eagles' division to lose. I don't think they will trick it off, but it's a legit conversation now. And I'm really looking forward to that first Cowboys-Eagles game that we get this season. My number 2 observation. John Harbaugh, coach of the Baltimore Ravens, did absolutely nothing wrong. Hearing about all the backlash he's been getting this week for going forward on 4th and goal at the end of the game against the Bills, which ended up being a Lamar Jackson end zone interception. Marcus Peters got so goddamn mad at it, he almost charged at John Harbaugh, and they had to, break up something that almost was a fight. But I'm going to quote a guy, one of my favorite coaches in NFL history, one Herm Edwards. You play to win the game. You play to win the game. You just don't play it to play. You play to win the game. Now, when this situation happened, it's a tie game, 20-20, 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. You're at the 1-yard line. Why? I understand go for a field goal, but why go for a field goal when your defense has already let them back in the game? They've been getting cooked by Josh Allen. You're going to give Josh Allen an entire 4 minutes to go down there and march down, if not just hit a field goal, but, throw a touchdown to win the game, when you can go out there and you can get 1 yard and you can get a full touchdown lead up on this quarterback and this offense that you got to go against. And we saw just how they were dragging that defense all over the field for them to get back in that game in the first place. And let's just say, you don't get it, like they didn't get it, you still will have them at the 1-yard line, backed up in their own end zone, enough time to give you for you to get the ball back. Now, having said that, we all know that's not how it went. They chased Lamar outside the pocket. Lamar threw a pass and ended up being intercepted. But I'm more about process more than I am results. The process of it was fine to me. You want a coach who's like, fuck a field goal. We're going to win this game because we know we can't stop the other quarterback on the field. Now, I understand why Marcus Peters got hot, because you're a defender. You want to go out there and win the game for your team. I understand that. And they still had a chance to do that, which they didn't, because the Bills marched down, won a game with a field goal, which is why John Harbaugh went for it at the one to fucking begin with, man. So I just want to say, get off John Harbaugh. He did the right thing. And if anybody, there's 2 coaches in the league. We're 3 coaches in the league who have carte blanche to do anything. Obviously, it's Bill Belichick, it's Mike Tomlin, and it's John Harbaugh. That guy has earned respect in the building. He knows what to do. He took accountability for it. But I love that type of energy when you're in that late in the game against a very good team in your own home. So I love that one, man. Get off John Harbaugh. I don't think he did anything wrong. And my final week 4 observation is something I've been saying since the offseason, something I said in my preseason things to watch out for. A lot of people was talking a lot of shit this offseason about this man because he lost one of his, 2 of his wide receivers. A lot of people was talking shit about one Patrick Mahomes. How quickly forget about what this man has done in this league in just a short amount of time. You got punk-ass defensive coordinators who ain't got enough balls to put their fucking name on a comment saying he's a street ball player and you can really key on him in the defense and bullshit like that. This dude is incredible. And he showed it again this past Sunday with an absolute drumming of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which I called on this show last week. He went 23 for 37, 249 yards, 3 touchdowns, and only 1 interception. Just amazing, and he does these plays where it's just like you shake your head, like the little jump shot floater touchdown pass was just crazy. And it was just one of them things like, how's he able to do this? You know what I'm saying? And as a Bears fan, I'm somebody like, there's a very special cozy place in hell for Ryan Pace. Like it's just something that I just will never get over. I don't give a fuck if Justin Fields becomes the a top 3 quarterback in this league. You should have got that man. I just will never understand it. And you see it on a weekly basis just how fucking good he is. And just how good this Chiefs team is. One thing that's standing out about this Chiefs team to me is the defense. The defense is holding it down. They've been playing good. They were the pass rush. Christian Jones was all on Tom Brady ass. They were doing an amazing job. And, the offense has been a little smelly the last 2 weeks, but they're getting into a groove. Guys are making plays. He's spreading the ball up. He's like, of course, Kelsey's his go-to guy. From a wide receiver perspective, he don't have Tyreek is down there somewhere, and it's giving other guys opportunities to make plays, and it's making this offense even more multi-dimensional, man. And it's something that is just amazing to see. And people got to shut up talking about this man. I would say he's still him, but white people trying to steal this word from us too. I saw him in a fucking NFL YouTube upload, and I said, hey, man, my black people, we got to come up with something else. They stealing this shit from us too. But at the end of the day, I will say Patrick Mahomes is still that dude. And stop talking shit about this dude, man. I do think the Chiefs have a real legit shot to win Super Bowl number 2. And the offensive line looking much better. Much better. And that's something you got to pay attention to, man. So that's all I got for week 4. Let's get into my in our week 5 preview and get into my power rankings, man. I'm gonna keep telling this for everybody who might be new to the show. If you didn't catch out, these are not who I think are the top 10 best teams in the league. This is a weekly thing. It fluctuates week to week. You might be number 2 on this list one week. You might not make this motherfucker the next week. So this is really just how it is on a week to week basis. These are my top 10 teams coming into week 5. Number 10, gonna go with the Dallas Cowboys, man. The Cowboys, like I said, 3-1. Cooper Rush is looking good. CeeDee Lamb is looking good. His defense is looking good. They're buying Dak more time. They're getting these good wins. They got a real big game this Sunday in SoFi Stadium against the defending champions that they could win this one. Now you're really cooking with gas. You know what I'm saying? And they've just been way more impressive than I thought they would be after the Tyron Smith injury in the preseason. And, of course, Dak messed up his hand in week 1. I thought these dudes were cooked. But it looks like they're going to be right here in this race to the end of the season. So, number 10, I'm going to go with Dallas Cowboys. Number 9 is going to be a team that I hate more than any fucking body in the history of the world is the Green Bay Packers. They are also 3-1. Now, all things are not the same. And, of course, we all know about that meme with the 3 dragons, like 2 serious dragons and 1 unserious dragon. All these 3-1 teams not alike. The fucking Green Bay Packers are the smelly dragon. You went to a full-blown shootout, not even shootout, full-blown battle in the overtime with a quarterback whose last name is Zepp. I don't even know the dude first name. The offense still does not look good. We're still seeing these young wide receivers not being able to connect with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers had a beautiful spiral pass in the end zone, which could have won the game in regulation, and dude just dropped it at the last fucking minute. And I'm not one of you like, well, he's just building chemistry. They're going to get it. They're going to get it. No, this is not a good team. I'm not saying they're not a good team. This is not a team that is a legit contender. Anybody with eyes can see that. This is a team that I think coming up this Sunday against the Giants, they're going to have a hard time with, and this is a team they would usually roll over a Patriots team that's on his 3rd quarterback due to injuries to Mac Jones and now Brian Hoyer. They didn't do that. They went down to the fucking line. And the defense is decent. The running game's good. And I'm not saying that Aaron Rodgers is falling off, but you need better big-time receivers than you have right now to be a legit contender. And I just don't see that right now. But I will have them in my number 9. Number 8, Cincinnati Bengals. After starting off 0-2, they are now 2-2. They got a big win at home last Thursday against the Miami Dolphins. But this is kind of like how I feel about the Packers a little bit. Like, you got to actually watch these teams. I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed by any of the football I've seen this team play this year. I'm going to give, like I've been saying, I'm going to give Joe Burrow a pass because, he's coming off, his appendix bust, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's going to take him a little time. I don't know where the hell Jamar Chase is at, but if you know where he's at, please tell him he's wanted in Cincinnati. This is why I don't fucking gamble, and this is why I cut fantasy football, because this dude would have me very angry right now with the way his play has been. T. Higgins has been the one bright spot in the offense along with Joe Mixon. The offensive line has not gotten any better. This man, Joe Burrow, is still getting, rock bottom into the earth's crust every damn weekend. And that's not something that's going to help them long term. They've got a big game this Sunday against the Ravens, but I do think they've done enough to stay in my top 10 right now. So I got Cincinnati at number 8. 7, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They were able to get their offense back this week. They were able to get Mike Evans back off suspension. Julio Jones played. Chris Godwin played. But that defense did not show up. Tom Brady has a lot of things on his mind at the moment. I will not get into further detail on that. If you want to hear us talk about that, that will be a point of discussion on summer sessions tonight. But he's got a lot going on his plate, but I just don't see the offensive firepower that I once saw. Brady still looks good. I mean, the zip on some of these passes for a guy his age is fucking ridiculous. Mike Evans is looking great. I just don't know if they have enough right now to be a legitimate contender for. Now, when you have Tom Brady, you're going to be a legitimate contender just because you got Tom Brady. And Tom Brady is the only reason why I still have them in my top 10 right now. But I'm concerned at how this offense is going to be long term, and still concerned about that offensive line. Tom got sent to hell on Sunday. They need to really get some help on that front. So I'm going to have them at number 7. Number 6, despite the loss, I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson is MVP right now, without a shadow of a doubt. Despite them losing and jagging a double-digit lead to the Buffalo Bills, I think this team is good enough to still win this division. You're not going to, Lamar, the way Lamar's playing, he's not going to be throwing many picks. And that's something he can really bounce back from. They got amazing coaching. I'm still worried about that defense, still worried about that secondary, but I still think they're just right there in the mix, especially in that division with how mediocre the Bengals have started, and with the Browns still pretty much being a run first offense until they get the nasty man back in that lineup. But I'm gonna put the Baltimore Ravens at number 6. Number 5, I'm gonna have the San Francisco 49ers, who weren't even on this list last week after an amazing disgusting loss to the Denver Broncos last week, one of the worst Sunday night football games I've ever seen. But they came right back. Good win at the crib, punched their division rival, Los Angeles Rams, in the mouth. This is classic Jimmy G, in the words of Stu Gatz. Threw a lot of bullshit balls, but he threw a lot of good balls, too, to make you forget about the bullshit balls. Deebo Samuel was Deebo Samuel, and he showed you the reason why he got paid all that fucking money. The defense looks good. The defense is looking great. With Hufanga, he's been looking great. You got a guy like that who's been mentored by Tro Polamalu. He's been looking like him out there. The defense, the whole front seven, Nick Bosa must have saw Kanye's shirt because his ass was hyped on Monday. He was coming at him, and from every which way, man. And they're a team where you're not going to run away with anything because you never know which Jimmy Garoppolo you're going to get in week and week out. With the way that the Rams been playing, with the way that the Cardinals been playing, they're right there in that NFC West chase. And they went to the NFC Championship game last year. If they don't drop the interception, they go to the Super Bowl. They went to the Super Bowl just 3 years ago. And I feel like they're finally finding that momentum back again, and they're right back where they want to be. So I'm going to have the San Francisco 49ers at 5. Number 4, I got the Miami Dolphins. Despite the loss, you're really seeing the great offensive system that Mike McDaniel has in this. And you're even seeing that, since you had Tua guy, you got a guy like Teddy Bridgewater, who isn't what you would want as a starter long term. He's definitely not one of them guys. Before a fucking backup, he gets the job done. This is a team, the offense didn't look bad when Tua went out. They looked fluid because the plays look good. The system looks good. The offensive line's holding up. They have a great wide receiving core. And I think that with all those things combined, and you got a guy like Teddy Bridgewater who won't make mistakes, they're going to have enough to stay in this race, stay right up in there. Of course, it's AL East is going to go to the Bills, but they're going to have a chance to host one of these wild card games and get back into the postseason and hold it down even when Tua was out. And I think that's going to allow Tua to get really, really healthy, kind of the same way in the Cooper Rush, Dak Prescott situation, that if you have Teddy who's out there, he knows this offense, the team is behind him, and you got guys like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle who can make plays with pretty much anybody, it's going to help them. And I really, really like what they're doing over there in Miami. So I'm going to go with them number 4. Number 3, I'm going to have the team I just was talking about, the Kansas City Chiefs, man. Everything they got going over there, the defense looks good. Patrick Mahomes looks good, a dominant win over the GOAT Tom Brady and that defense. And the thing about it is, his numbers against top 5 defenses are fucking ridiculous. And this is something where I'm not just Pat, but I feel like the entire team has a chip on their shoulder. And I think they're going to continue to carry this throughout the season. So I'm going to put the Chiefs at number 3. Number 2, I got the only undefeated team left in National Football League, the Philadelphia Eagles, man. The Eagles looking great. Jalen Hurts looking great. He's right behind Lamar in the MVP race. He's become an actual leader to this team. And that whole team is bought into everything that Nick Sirianni is selling. And this is something where, they can build off last year, not just getting to the playoffs, obviously. They got a real chance of being the number 1 seed in the NFC and being able to get a first round bye and have those fans have them teams come to Lincoln Financial Field in the winter and play against them. So I'm going to go with the Eagles number 2. They've been very, very impressive to me. And number 1 is, for the 5th week in a row, the Buffalo Bills are still on my list. It doesn't matter how many people out in the secondary. It don't matter how many points they're going to get. They're down. They have Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, and that's all that matters. And we've seen that time and time again. They're a team that's come out the gate swinging. They don't look like they've had any hangover from the disappointing loss they had last year in the playoffs against the Chiefs. They don't look like they're worried about preseason projections with everybody having them going to the Super Bowl. They feel like a team that's on a mission and dominant and is willing to kick anybody ass who rolls up against them. So I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills for my number 1 in my power rankings for the 5th week in a row. Now let's get into our top 3 must-watch games for this week. I'm not a big fan of this week's schedule, and that's why I have no sneaky good games for you this week. I have none, because if there is a sneaky good game, I can't look at that shit on paper. I don't know. It's like one of them. This is a real red zone Sunday, honestly. Like, this ain't one of them Sundays where you got one game on TV, you got the red zone here. Unless it's your team, it's a red zone Sunday. There's a lot of mediocre matchups this week. But here are the 3 that I think are going to be worth again. Damn. Number 3, the Los Angeles Rams at home Sunday, hosting Dallas Cowboys. This is a big game for them because they have not looked like the Super Bowl champions. And I think the number 1 reason for that is because that offensive line is just not good right now. Andrew Whitworth retired. They got injuries in there. And Matthew Stafford has been sacked 17 times in 4 games. Now, I'm going to say this, what I said to Bears fans, stupid Bears fans, because there's some smart, very small portion of Bears fans who actually know what the hell they're watching. But you can't grade a guy like Justin Fields when he has an offensive line that is 30 times worse than the one the Rams got. And you got a guy and Matthew Stafford, who's obviously leaps and bounds better than Justin Fields. I'm not comparing the two whatsoever. It's not even close who's a better quarterback. But if you got a guy like Matthew Stafford who had like a career year last year, made us, actually won a postseason game and big postseason throws, won the Super Bowl, that he can't run the offense right now because his offensive line isn't giving him time to throw the ball. And he has much better offensive weapons than the Bears, and he still can't get off. So if he's having a problem running that offense with all that pressure, and he knows that offense like the back of his hand, what do you think is going to happen with Justin Fields when you have an offensive line that's 30 times worse than that and offensive weapons who are 30 times worse than that? Darren Orlovsky said it best. Darnell Mooney is a cool player. On the Rams or any other team worth a game, he's not a number 1, he's a 4. You know what I'm saying? You got a 5th round pick starting at left tackle. So it's like different things here that, I know I'm going into a Bears tangent, but that's further my point of what the problem is I see with the Rams, that the offensive line isn't holding up, and it's going to be really hard for them to have the offensive success that they had last year. Now, the defense is still great. When you got Aaron Donald and you got Bobby Wagner, by the way, shout out to Bobby Wagner, great hit on a guy who tried to run on the field doing Monday Night Football. Shout out to you. That was an amazing, hilarious hit. But I got to see something from them. I got to see something from this offense this Sunday to make me feel like they're going to go in the right direction. I know it's early, but you can look up and Halloween going to be here. And we 8 games in. So they need to get something rolling. For the Cowboys here, you're playing with house money. Nobody expected you to even be here in the race after Dak was injured. You got a chance to go 4-1, get you a road dub, and keep this season going and holding it in a good area for Dak when he's healthy. And this is something that I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna have my picks later for this, but I can see this one going anyway, man. I think it's gonna be a real entertaining game. Number 2, Monday Night Football game at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. Chiefs versus the Raiders. Raiders got a big win last week. Finally won over the Denver Broncos. They're in the dub column now. Now they can see if they can try to right this ship in the right direction. I don't know who's the last team to make the playoffs, starting 0-3, but with as evenly split. And as 500 the league has been right now, they're not dead yet. And if they can go out there and get a dub against the Chiefs, this puts them in the right direction to get back in that wild card hunt. The number one most watched game this week is one of the best rivalries in football, man. The Ravens hosting the Bengals on Sunday Night Football. Lamar Jackson and those guys are trying to bounce back from a tough loss against the Bills. Cincinnati needs a prove-it W. W against Teddy Bridgewater and the Dolphins, a W against Joe Flacco and the Jets. Those don't move me when you're coming off a Super Bowl appearance. You're trying to build off that. They got a great opportunity to go on the road in Baltimore, get a dub, and say, okay, we're back. We had a rough first quarter of the season. We got our mojo back, and let's make the second run to the Super Bowl. Well, the Ravens like, hey, man, we going to take advantage of this. Lamar's the MVP. He's playing well. Let's go out there, get this dub, and put an even bigger distance between us and the Bengals in this AFC North race. And I think they need to start considering the Browns, too, because the Browns are doing just enough to stay in it until the nasty man gets in. Now, he might not know what the hell the word no means, but he knows how to throw a fucking football. And that's going to help the Browns out later on in the season. So this is something for both of these teams. You want to try to get a distance so it's just a two-team race and not a 3-team race later on in the season, man. So like I said, those are my top 3 most must-watch games. I have no sneaky good games. It's just a Red Zone Sunday. So we're going to go over my picks for season 5 last week. Not season 5, but week 5. Last week I went 12-4. Much better week than the week before. I had like a 500 week the week before. So I went 12-4 this week. My overall record is 41-22-1. So I think that means I know what the hell I'm talking about, and y'all should listen to me on who the hell I pick. Week 5 starts off tonight in Denver, Thursday Night Football, Broncos versus Colts. This is going to be a disgusting offensive game. The Denver Broncos are still yet to find their stride. The Colts have been terrible, but the entire AFC South has been terrible. That whole division needs to be fucking regulated. But no Jonathan Taylor, which is a big blow for the Colts. No Jonathan Taylor tonight. Shaq Leonard's out again with concussion symptoms. That's going to make them even more disadvantaged in the situation. I don't think the Broncos are going to score a lot of points, but they are at home, and it's going to make the Colts are going to be very one-dimensional with no Jonathan Taylor. So I'm going to give the Broncos the slight edge, and I think they'll win this one. We have back-to-back London games for the second week in a row. Last week's London game went down to the wire. A lot of people in London came out in full force to watch an amazing quarterback duel between one Kirk Cousins and a red rifle Andrew Dalton. That went down to the wire. Of course, the Vikings ended up winning that game. You got another one. They're bringing the Giants and the Packers. This, I think, will be a close game. The Giants are 3-1. Neither one of these teams are as good as their record shows. But I think just Saquon Barkley enough should be able to keep them in this game. The defense to be able to keep them in the game. Defense was really, really good last week. Now, of course, guarding Justin Fields and guarding Aaron Rodgers are two completely different fucking things. But I think it's be a good game. But I think I'm going to go with the Packers in a very, very close game in London. Next game, like I said, there's a lot of nasty games on the schedule. Bills, Steelers. It's Kenny Pickett time in Pittsburgh. We're going to get to that in my goofy mug in a second. So just wait for that. But I'm going to go with the Bills. Bills going to win easily in this one. They're on a mission. They're not going to lose to the fucking Steelers. Chargers, Browns. Chargers got a nice win last week against the Houston Texans, which the Houston Texans are looking like the worst team in football right now. Justin Herbert, rib looked much better last week. Still dealing with a lot of injuries. Browns lost to the Falcons. Like I said, what's going to happen? And I think, this is going to be one of the games where it'll be close somewhat. But I think, when you have a guy like Justin Herbert, they're going to need Jacoby Brissett to throw the ball, like, consistently. And I just don't think that's going to happen. So I'm going to go with the Chargers this week. Vikings, Bears. Now, of course, I'll give my score on 79th and Hallis. Preview pod dropping on Friday. I think Vikings are going to win. I think Vikings are going to win by a sizable amount. Doesn't look like Jalen Johnson is going to play this week, so it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a Guinness World Record of gritties hit in the end zone by Justin Jefferson on Sunday. It's not going to be pretty. Y'all say a prayer for my brother who's going to be making that trek to Minnesota to watch that abomination. But I got the Vikings winning that game. Patriots and Lions. Now, the Lions, if their defense was even okay, they would probably be undefeated right now. That's how good that offense is looking. Jared Goff is actually looking better than Matthew Stafford right now. and he looked good last week, even without Amon St. Ra, who was out. Amon-Ra St. Brown, who was out last week. They still able to put up 45 points on the Seahawks. And this game, I'm gonna pick the Patriots just because the Lions' defense is just so fucking bad. It's so fucking bad. And at the end of the day, they're still Lions. They still do Lions shit, no matter how entertaining their offense might be. We don't know who the hell is going to start a quarterback, at least right now. I haven't checked, the injury report. So who practiced this week? I don't know if it's going to be Brian Hoyer or it's going to be that Zap dude again. But either way, I'm going to go with the Patriots this week. Seahawks Saints. We might owe the Seahawks an apology. Now, I don't think the Seahawks going to make the playoffs, obviously. They're playing a hell of a lot better than I thought. Maybe Pete Carroll was right. Maybe Pete, when we was always like, oh, if you got to choose between Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll, it should be an easy decision for the Seahawks. You should go with Russell Wilson. We might be wrong. Russell Wilson ain't looking like shit. He's making weak-ass Subway commercials. And this Seahawks team, like, they have an identity. The running game looks better. Geno's making throws when he needs to make them. Defense looks good. And they're sending shots at Russ, like little subtle shots from Pete Carroll. And then we heard Rashard Penny last week. He was like, oh, we know it's good when you're running, when you know the quarterback's not going to check out of your run to do an unnecessary passing play. And I'm like, okay. Maybe this team really just didn't like Russell Wilson. And they might be right. And the Saints, I had them as my surprise team. Now, it's still early, but it's not looking good for my surprise team pick. Jameis is still hurt. I know from experience, Andy Dalton's not going to have back-to-back good weeks. So I'm going to go with the Seahawks with this one. I think they're going to get this dub, and things on the up and up for them, for Seattle, man. Dolphins, Jets, not an aesthetically pleasing game. You got Teddy Bridgewater versus Zach Wilson. I'm going to go with the Dolphins because I believe more in their system. I think they're the better team, even without Tua. I think they're a better team than the Jets. It's a nice comeback win by the Jets last week against the Steelers. But it's a different situation. They're a much better team. I'm going to go with the Dolphins. Bucks, Falcons. This is going to be if I did have a sneaky good game, this probably should have been on it. Falcons been better than advertised. The Falcons been putting up a lot of points. They've been looking good. They got a good win last week over the Browns. And this is like I won't say a must win for the Bucks, but the Bucks have lost 2 in a row. Tom Brady is in a house by himself. I'm just saying, go home to your wife, my guy. Go home. Go home and be a family man, dog, because this one's over. But I do think that they're going to win this game. I'm going to go with the Bucks over the Falcons in this one. Titans, Commanders. There's so many things that you could do with your time on Sunday than watch this fucking game. That being said, anytime that Carson Wentz is on the other side of the field, I'm going to take the other team. So I'm going to go with the Titans. Just keep feeding the ball to Derrick Henry. So I'm going to go with the Titans, man. Jags and the Texans, another game that you could be doing so many other things, but watching this one. If this is a 2-minute drill, we'd be banging the skip button right now. But I'm going to go with the Jaguars in this one. And the Texans, look, man, I hope my man Lovey don't get the brunt of it because they suck. You know how they treat black coaches like it's his fault that he had a shit roster. But I'm going to go with the Jaguars in this one. Niners and Panthers. Baker Mayfield sucks. Baker Mayfield should be lined up to be a family man too. The Niners, they're on a roll right now. I think they finally are getting comfortable with what they're doing. And I think the Niners going to win this one. Rams and Cowboys, like I had on my top 3 list. I'm going to go with the Rams in a very close game. I would not be surprised if the Cowboys won this one. But I'm going to go with the Rams. But they need to win this one. They lose this one, they go 2-3. And you lost at the crib. It might not be good. You know what I'm saying, for them. But one thing, I'm scared for Matthew Stafford on Sunday because this Cowboy defense is coming, and that offensive line of the Rams is looking like food. And, Cooper Rush can make some plays, but I'm going to give the slight edge to the Rams this week because I kind of feel like they need to win this one. Eagles, Cardinals, not much to be said here. The Eagles are going to be 5-0 on Sunday, folks, for the first time since 2004 when it was Donovan McNabb and Terrell Owens, Andy Reid, that whole squad over there. So I'm going to go with the Eagles. Sunday Night Football, Ravens and Bengals. We talked about this one not too long ago. It's number 1 on my must-watch list this week. Like I said, I'm just not sold on how the Bengals been playing. They could win this game, but I'm going with the Ravens. They're at the crib. They had a tough loss last week. I think that Lamar is going to bounce back. I think this team's going to bounce back, and I'm going to go with the Ravens. Final game of the week, Chiefs and Raiders. Raiders need this one in a big way. That being said, death taxes Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs will win this football game. That is all I've got for my rundown. We're going to wrap this up with my Goofy Mog of the week. And there's a lot of things in life, you know what I'm saying, that, you know, people care about. A lot of things you would care about. Life isn't always about being right. But a lot of times it is. And I'm going to sit up here and I'm going to take a victory lap because there was a lot of motherfuckers in the national media this offseason. When one Mitchell, David Trubisky, signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers, oh, it's a new situation. It's with an organization that actually is worth a damn. Which those are valid points. These are organizations that is worth a damn. We all know the Bears historically ain't. You've got a great coach in Mike Tomlin. There's probably something in there, Mitch, that he can hold it down for the full season while they get Kenny Pickett ready. What did I tell y'all? What did I tell y'all when this motherfucker got to that team? This dude is ass. I said he's not going to make it to week 5. And there was I said a lot of y'all lying because at the end of the day, I understand the Bears make it easy to joke on them. But a lot of time, y'all just like joking on the Bears. Don't make this a double fuck you because Allen Robinson, has anybody seen Allen Robinson lately? Where the hell is he at? What was that? Oh, he just needs a good quarterback. The Bears didn't have no good quarterback. He's a great wide receiver. What the fuck he at? Where he at? When he's in out in the field, Matthew Stafford don't even look his fucking way because he knew he can't catch the fucking ball. I seen 3 50-50 balls on Sunday. Nothing. This dude, Cooper Kupp, has more yards in one game than this dude has his entire fucking season. I was at those games last year, dog. And I'm not going to sit in here and shit on A-Rob's first 3 seasons with the Bears. But last year, that man quit on his team. I told y'all, even when he was good for this team, he's not a number 1. I said this even when he was good with us. He's not a number 1. He's a 2 or a 3 on most teams. And he's not showing that. So I say all this to say this. Y'all can give me a thank you because I told y'all what time it was. I told y'all that Mitch stinks. And he's going to be in the XFL very shortly. I told y'all that fucking Allen Robinson just ain't that guy. He's a player 2 ass nigga. It just is what it is, man. So I would like for y'all to say, Scott, you are right. It is cool to admit that, man. Just say it. I'm not a bitter Bears fan. I got eyes. I know what the fuck I'm talking about, man. So that's exactly what I'm saying right here. So I'm going to give my goofy ball to y'all national media people who thought that it was just a Bears thing. No, it's not just a Bears thing. These motherfuckers are sorry. And that's all I got for y'all today, man. Another episode of I'm Not Gonna Hold Y'all. I told y'all we was going to do 2 episodes a week. Thing about that is I lied. It's just not gonna happen. I got a lot of stuff going on right now. A lot of things. It's kind of hard for me to do 2 shows. And I'm gonna be back traveling in a couple weeks. We're gonna be back covering the Clippers in a couple weeks. So it's gonna be kind of hard for me to do the 2 shows. I apologize for that. But we will be back here each and every Thursday. Be live again next week. We should have a special guest next week. So look out for that. MLB playoffs. By the time we back next week, we'll be in the middle of the DS. One thing about the baseball playoffs, them shits move fast. For in 2 weeks, World Series will be beginning. So get ready for that. Next week we'll talk about what's going on in the playoffs. We'll preview week 6. And we're getting close to the NBA too, man. So look forward to that, man. You know to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at BarbChair Scott. You know to follow this great media network, H&B Media, at H&B Media TV, and at H&B Media on Instagram also. And I want to give a big shout out to my guys Pavi and TPJ for 6 years for Hoops and Brews, man. Got to give them a big shout out for doing it this long, doing it at a high level, doing it consistently, doing it good quality. Got to give Pav the shout out for coming up with the idea. We got to give TPJ the love for just expanding on that and just putting it out there to the people. And so y'all are watching this each and every week because without those dudes, of course, those are my best friends, I wouldn't be here talking to y'all right now. So I just want to give them a salute for 6 years on this platform, man. And of course, to follow the Barbers Chair Network. We're coming up on our 5th year anniversary in January. It'll be 5 years of Barbers Chair Network. I want to give a shout out to our whole staff. I want to give a shout out to my guy, Justin Baker, who is our new head of strategic marketing, branding, and partnerships. Give a shout out to him. The Patreon is free for this week only. So if you want to hear this week's Cinema with the Guys. We break down House of the Dragon. That's up right now. Summer sessions be up tomorrow. So check that out. And then you subscribe to patreon.com/BarbersChat Network on Monday when you can check this stuff out weekly. And visit the bcnet.com. Barber's Chest Shop is coming real soon, man. So that's all I got for y'all. Y'all enjoy Thursday night football. Y'all enjoy Major League Baseball playoffs this week. I'm out.
Getting paper on these player haters, old news, money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna